What is up, Nickel City Mafia? Welcome to another edition of Bills Tailgate. We're going to be talking about this Bills versus Eagles preview, very early preview, and what Bills offense is going to show up this week. Before we get into all that, I want to say hello to my co-host of a few years now, my friend, Mr. Jake Podger. How you doing, my friend?
Fantastic, Mike. I'm doing much better than I was last show. I was celebrating quite a bit after that game. So, sincere apologies. I hope you guys were able to get through the post game last show. Your boy was definitely playing through the flu game, as Timmy said, the Jack Daniels flu game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm here, and hey, it's pre-Thanksgiving, and Mike, I just want to say I'm super thankful for you for bringing me onto the show, and shout out to our fan base and the community that we've built here. I think it's incredible. And, I just love all of you guys and, hoping the Bills can continue this incredible trend. They're starting to turn upwards a little bit. And it was a great thing to see. So as Josh Allen got his fresh cut, I did as well. I don't know if you can tell, but I felt like it was due, so yeah. I got the hat on right now. I got some hat hair going on, but I'm not going to take this off, but, absolutely incredible. Let me tell you, we're riding on a good high right now, and I'm going to Philly, so I'm really pumped up for this game, Mike.
Oh, man. Well, first of all, thank you for that compliment, and thank you for trusting me and just being on that show now for 2 years. You were the first one who joined me, and we've gotten it to where it is today with the help of all our friends, but super appreciative of all that. I wanted to ask you a couple of Thanksgiving questions.
Oh, so, I love it. Let's do it.
First of all, talk to me about your favorite side dish that you just can't wait to have on Thanksgiving. And I'd love the folks in the channel out there, whoever's with us, to give me your favorite side dish on Thanksgiving.
My favorite, I don't know if it's really a side dish. I think it should be a main course. It's mashed potatoes. And I do mashed potatoes and corn. And I think it's the absolute best when you mix them together. There is nothing better. You do a little mashed potatoes, some corn, and then you could throw some gravy on there, too. You got to have a little gravy in the mix, too, Mike. So I am trying something, too, tomorrow. So we're doing a normal turkey, right? So you do your turkey, gravy, the whole shebang. But tomorrow, I'm using my dad's thing. It's called the Orion Cooker. And it's not really a smoker, per se. But I put this rub on the turkey, and I injected it with some Frank's hot sauce. And I'm doing a buffalo-style turkey. Okay. And I bought some Barbell medium sauce. By the way, I did go to Barbell earlier today. We had some wings there, and it was fantastic, and I totally meant to send you a picture, which I did not. The connection there absolutely sucks, but gosh, the wings were so good. I probably put back about 25 myself, which is a normal occurrence for me when I go there. But nonetheless, doing a buffalo-style turkey tomorrow, so pray for me. I hope it goes well, but really excited for that. It's the first time I've tried it. So, but yeah, I would say if you're talking side dish, I mean, outside of the turkey alone, you got to have mashed potatoes and some corn. You mix them together. Nothing better.
Dude, I love that. So listen to this. All right. So I asked this question at work today to all the coworkers, and mashed potatoes was the overwhelming response, and different versions of mashed potatoes. And for me, it's mashed potatoes because growing up, single mom in Buffalo, looking for inexpensive ways to cook meals. We had mashed potatoes with everything. We were a meat and potatoes family. So mashed potatoes was a staple at dinner. And what I love what you just said about the corn, you're absolutely right. So my mom would always put some little vegetable on the side, whether it be corn or peas, and you have the mashed potatoes, and somehow they get mixed. And they're fantastic that way. So I am totally in support of that. And I even told my coworkers today, and I said, I could eat mashed potatoes all day by themselves, put some peas in there, mix them up, put some corn in there, mix them up. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. I told them how to. Now, one other thing I want to share, I think I've shared with this with you before. Again, when you're looking for those inexpensive meals, Kraft macaroni and cheese out of the box. I think I make the best. Now, this is not a Thanksgiving thing, but I'm giving everyone out there another inexpensive food to get. Buy the Kraft mac and cheese. Make it correct. I feel like I make it just like the picture looks on the box. I make it perfect. Can't overcook those noodles, man. And then you throw in some corn. Open up a can of corn, dump it in, mix it. Again, a quick dish. Fantastic when you mix in that corn with the mac and cheese. But to answer my question for what's my favorite dish, it's obviously here's my whole plate. Skip the salad. There's no way I'm going with the salad. Whoever makes salad, I feel sorry for them.
Screw that.
I
Yeah.
thank them for bringing it, but no, I'm not going in with the salad. But my plate has the turkey. It has the mashed potatoes, and it has the gravy, of course, and some butter mixed in as well, extra butter. And then
Nice.
I have yams. I love candied
Mm,
yams. So I
okay.
love that. Of course, you got to have some stuffing. And then, of course, the vegetable, whatever that is, whoever's making it. I'm not sure what we're getting at my sister in law's, but normally we have either corn, usually corn.
You
To
cranberry
go
sauce
on.
guy, Mike?
I am not. I've never been
No.
a fan of
Okay.
it. What about you?
I do it. So, speaking of the Kraft mac and cheese, I do that right out of the can. I do like the forget the name of the company. It's like they have commercials, but they do the cranberry juice, but they also do the cranberry
Okay.
sauce just in the
Yeah.
cans.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's pretty good. You mix that with the mashed potatoes too. Actually, not bad. I gotta say. So
I think I could have it mixed with something, and I have,
yeah, by
but
itself, it's
eating
a
it by
little tough.
itself, I'm not a fan
Fair.
of it. I'm not a fan of it. We got the mad chatter out there. Good to see
Hell yeah,
you
Matt Chatter.
on the eve of this wonderful Thanksgiving that we're all excited about. And we got he says
Aaron.
he called you Jane at first, but he corrected himself
I
pretty
see
quick.
that Mike and Jane.
And
Not
we
Dick
got
and
Aaron
Jane,
out
Mike and
there.
Jane. Aaron.
Yeah, Mike and Jane.
Shout out to Aaron. He's been on our show a few times, Mike. I was just with Aaron a few hours ago, and Aaron is the guy that I work with. I consider him one of my best friends of all time. Incredible human being. He played for the University of Buffalo, by the way, with Khalil Mack. So he knows a thing or two about the game of football. And I told him we're going live in like 52 minutes. I texted him at like 8:08. I'm like, hey, we're going live in 52 minutes here. So glad he joined in. And he is the freaking man. We were at Barbell today together grinding. I think we both had 20 plus wings. So fantastic. Love you for joining, brother. And he's saying he's only at turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy. And he says he's still at Barbell right now. When I left him, we were at 189, which
What?
is right next door. You never know, because he was at 189 for a hot minute there. We were
189.
just
What do you
having
mean?
some
What
beers.
189 what?
So Barbell is next door to this place called 189 Burger,
Oh,
and I
okay.
think the
All right.
owners own both. But 189 is awesome. It's a good burger place, and on top of that, they have amazing bourbon. So like that's our spot. We do our flamed old fashions there. We do some whiskey sours, and man, the night before Thanksgiving is the biggest drinking night of the year. So we had to get after a little bit earlier on in the day, and that's what we usually do with our work. And shout out to Sammy V for letting us go out there. That was a blast, and that's where I left Aaron. So I don't know if he's still there or not, but if you are Akon, listen, have one for me.
So you had your Friendsgiving today. By the way, Matt Chatter, do we have a chance? We're going to get into that. We're going to kind of do a little fun style where we grade each position group. And yeah, of course, when you got JA17 and if the game
Absolutely.
continues,
Always a
the
chance.
offense
Always a chance,
continues
baby.
like it did last week. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. And let's see, Matt Chatter, let's see, what did he say? Let's see, where's Matt Chatter? He said, my friend Timmy got me to stay for dinner because he said he had stovetop. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Some people get really fancy with their
Yeah.
stuffing. And I hate to say it.
Stovetop's good, man.
I'm not a fan, but stovetop never lets you down, Matt Chatter.
My wife
Never
gets
lets you
on me
down.
about that. My father-in-law, he does it like from scratch. So he'll do like the bread itself. He'll mix it all in. He'll do this special thing, and it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But listen, I grew up on stovetop stuffing,
Same
Mike, and
here. Same
it's
here.
good, man. It's good. Yeah.
It really is. I like the custom made stuffing, but it depends on what they're mixing into it. And that's where
I agree.
sometimes I'm like, sorry, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So I think we caught up. Big L joining us. Good to see you, L. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys out there joining us. Now,
shout out to my dad too, because he gave me that Orion cooker that I was talking about. So I'm doing the Buffalo style turkey out of that thing he gave me.
Where are you going to be tomorrow? Are
We'll
you
be
hosting?
at our house. Brand new house we're hosting. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I was doing a little bit of cleaning before the show here, Mike. I think we're good to go. The man cave's going to be wide open tomorrow. I'm going to have the Lions game on all 10 TVs down here. It's going to be amazing. We got 3 games on tomorrow. The Bills are not playing for the first time in 3 years now? I don't even know. It's like nice. 3 out of the last 4 seasons. Yeah. By the way, Josh Allen is hosting Thanksgiving tomorrow. I talked to Sean today. And he's like, you should just drive by Josh's house just to see how many cars are there. apparently he's hosting and he's cooking. So very interesting.
Ooh, there you go. Maybe you can
Yeah.
stop there, special delivery. Maybe say
Yeah,
you
something.
got the wrong address. Oh, sorry, I got the wrong address.
He has a gate in front, and I
Okay.
think he has a thing where you have to press the button and you have to say who's there. So it's like a I don't even know what you call it, like Knight Rider, where you press the thing and it like says who's there or whatever.
Well,
So
Jake, all you got to
yeah,
do is turn the camera on tomorrow live down in the man cave there, and just stream live the whole Thanksgiving party downstairs.
there we go. Yeah, for sure. Yes.
All right. Well, listen, before we get into the show, we're going to get into it, I promise you. But it's, the eve of Thanksgiving. You got to talk about some of these Thanksgiving traditions. And Aaron, we appreciate what you're saying there. We've grown and done an
I love you,
amazing
brother.
job. Thank you so much. Yeah, we do keep on grinding. We enjoy it. We love it. We never thought we'd get to where we were today. We're just a couple of guys that like talking about Buffalo. And we both have grown up there. And, it's nothing better to talk about on a podcast than Buffalo. So
I'm
let's
full
go.
of love tonight, Mike. I got to be honest with
Uh,
you. There's a lot of things to be thankful for, and obviously we're thankful for football, the Bills football, and man, thankful for you and love this show. It's incredible.
all right, awesome. So let's get to a little bit of a serious note here. Obviously, most of you know that we are doing a fundraiser. It's the second year in a row that we're doing a fundraiser, and I'm not going to play the video of this show because we had it last show, and I know a lot of the same folks I see are here. However, I am going to share our present donation and page and where we are right now. So give me just a sec. Bring that up for you all, and I'll tell you how you can help us out. So here we go. Let's share that screen. So currently, folks, through the help of friends, family, co-workers, and you, we've raised $1,644 in about 4 days, Jake. And that's 33% of our goal. We want to hit 5,000. We want to exceed it. Now, you might say, oh, you guys got it. You already got 1644 in 4 days. Well, when you start a fundraiser, the early part's kind of the easy part because you reach out to friends, you reach out to family and coworkers, and they're all down for supporting. After that, though, it's a real grind, and we need your help with this. You can definitely donate yourself. Any little amount helps. We've had people donate $8, $5, $10. It really doesn't matter. No amount is too small. And if you can't help financially, that's okay. But help us maybe share that link. And the way you can donate is go into the description of the show. There's a link. You can actually do it right now if you're on your desktop. I'm not sure how the phone behaves, Jake, when you click the link on your phone. If it opens up the page, I would think it would, and you'd still be able to listen to the show. But if you click the link in our description, it'll take you right to this page. Click that donate button. It's pretty easy. 3 steps and you're done. And we would greatly appreciate it. So Cardell and his family are who we're raising money for. Cardell was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in October. And it's a cancer that attacks the brain and the spinal cord. So he's got a real battle going on, and we want to help his family. The funds go to helping them pay mortgage and anything else that they need to pay for while they fight for their child's life. So help us out. Greatly appreciate it. Also, part of this fundraiser on December 22nd, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, Jake and I, for the second year in a row, we're going to have a live family-filled event. I mean, we went live last year. We had performers. We had people singing. We have trivia. We have games. We're giving away gift certificates. We're giving away prizes. It's all about getting us over that line for this fundraiser here. So you'll hear more about it. It's December 22nd. Put it in your calendar right now, 8 p.m. Eastern. So thank you, everyone. All right, let me stop sharing this here. And let's get into it, Jake. So tonight we're going to do it a little different. Let's go through position group by position group, Bills versus Eagles. We'll go I'm going to ask you the position group. You talk a little bit through it, and you tell me who you think has the edge there. I'll tell you who PFF has the edge. And then at the end, we're going to grade every position group, including the coaches, including the special teams. And then we'll figure out, based on what we graded everybody, who has the edge in this game and where we might be able to take advantage. We'll probably talk about where we can take advantage as you're going through these grades on the different position groups. So let's get started here. And we're going to start, always save the offense for the end, right? So let's get into the D line. Talk to me
Yeah.
about the D lines between these two teams and who you giving the edge to, Jake.
I mean, shoot, you could call the Eagles D line the Georgia Bulldogs of the NFL. It's absolutely insane. Obviously, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, you name some other guys on that D line too. I mean, they are stacked. But statistically, the Buffalo Bills actually have the edge there. I mean, their leading sacker is Hassan Reddick, who's been unbelievable again this year, 8.5 sacks on the season. He's more of an edge rusher, though. He's technically an outside linebacker slash DN, whatever you want to call it. They play a little bit of 4-3 and 3-4 at times. I think on paper, when you look at the defensive line, naturally you're going to say the Philadelphia Eagles. But man, this Buffalo Bills defensive line this year has been absolutely incredible. And while I still think the Eagles may have the edge in terms of overall talent and depth, the Bills are close. So I'd put the Eagles at probably my number one defensive line in the NFL. However, statistically, they're not performing as such. They're still putting up good numbers, but the sacks aren't as much as last year. And, you know, they have a kid, their new defensive coordinator. Obviously, Jonathan Gannon left for the Eagles, or not, he left the Eagles to go to the Cardinals. They now have Sean Desai as their new defensive coordinator. So things have changed a little bit. I still think it's a solid defense, but it's been a little more middle of the pack. And as we know, Mike, I mean, it all starts up front. And really what makes our defense tick is our defensive line. So I think while I'd say on paper, the Eagles D-line is better, and in terms of like overall, you know, accolades and all that good stuff, I think they are better. This season alone, I'd give it to the Buffalo Bills. And that's hard to say for me, but I think the Bills D-line is really legitimate this year. And we've seen that the past few games. Past really the whole year. But really, like even last game, it was very impressive.
Yeah, I actually like that call because let me give you some numbers here. So the Eagles have on defense 31 sacks on the year through 10 games. Now they only played 10. We've played 11. We have 39 sacks through 11 games.
Wow.
So our average sacks per game is higher than theirs. Like you said, if you look at the statistics, we're giving up less points per game. We're giving up less yards per game than the Eagles. But PFF, if you look at PFF, because, you know, they're kind of the middle person here, you know, trying to keep us honest. PFF loves the Eagles on paper. Like you said, you look on paper, but we know numbers haven't really meant much this year because, you know, Josh Allen, he's been like the top completion percentage. He's the top, top rating, quarterback rating, QBR. I don't know if it's still the case. Probably
I think
is
he's fifth right now, but yeah, he's still up in the top
so he dropped a little bit. He's thrown, I mean, the most touchdowns total, I think, on the year between rushing and throwing. He's having a fantastic year. So on paper, you look at that, you're like, man, they must be killing it. No, we're 6-5. So I like what you said. On paper, you would give it to the Eagles, but basically what you've seen, the eye test, I totally agree with you. I give that to the Bills. And so, all right.
Which is crazy to say because you go into this season, I mean, that Eagles D-line is the best among the best. I mean, you look at the names alone. Fletcher Cox still playing at a high level. You got Jalen Carter, who was poised to be Defensive Rookie of the Year, which I think, honestly, Devin Witherspoon has passed him for that. Although he's still having a really good year. You know, Jordan Davis, you got Josh Sweat. You got some really good defensive players on that D-line, you know, but I just think what the Bills have done with Leonard Floyd and some of those other guys, Eddie Oliver playing out of his mind lately, I got to give it to the Bills. And that's, you know, as hard as it is to say, you know, I feel pretty confident with that.
All right. So I will say PFF gave the average grade of the D line a 77.5. So on paper, man, you look at PFF and it's like Christmas time. Everything green, bright green. And then the Bills average 61.5. So big disparity there. But again, from the eye test, the number of sacks, I'm with you, Jake. I'm not going to disagree with you there. Let's get to the linebacking core.
Well, it's tough to say because, you know, you look at the Bills linebacking core coming into the year and with how well Terrell Bernard has played, and then you factor in Matt Milano. I mean, it's, you know, one of the best linebacking cores in the NFL. Now you lose Matt Milano and you have Terrell Bernard, Tyrel Dodson / Dorian Williams. Now we're playing a little 4-3. So it's hard to say. With them, they have Zach Cunningham and Nicholas Morrow, which I think Nicholas Morrow has actually played very well. He's a pickup from the Chicago Bears, has a couple fumble recoveries this year, has done very well in that defense. But I think overall, just because of how well Terrell Bernard has been playing, I'm going to give us a slight edge there as well.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell
And
you,
I'm not being a homer here. I'm really not. I'm trying to consider
we're
both
going to get
sides.
some Eagle fans in here, and I'm sure they're going to come
I
and
know
watch
we
this.
are.
Maybe
I
like,
know
these
we are.
guys, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But hey, tell us why. Tell us why you disagree. We love all fan bases. But
Here's the
okay,
thing, though, too. Like I
yeah,
said, so sometimes the Eagles go into that like 3-4 look where they'll have those outside rushers. So
yeah.
Hassan Reddick, technically, while he's listed as a D end, he's played outside linebacker as well this year. So if you include that, I think if you factor in the pass rushing and stuff like that, I think they have a better linebacking core in that sense. But I think when you look at just the base defense alone,
Yeah.
which they do technically play more of a nickel defense, you have two linebackers there, as do the Bills. And I think our two linebackers are a little bit better than theirs.
So PFF will agree with you, Jake. You'd be surprised.
Okay.
So Dotson,
Well,
I'm going to tell you something
he's
about
played well
Tyrell
lately.
Dotson. He has a PFF grade of 90.3.
Holy
That's
crap.
off
That's
the
insane.
charts, my friend.
Yeah.
And
Did not
then
expect that.
Bernard has a 69.9. So you would be like, there's
Good
no
numbers.
way Dotson can be that much higher, but he is.
Yeah.
So in
That's
PFF's world,
wild.
if you average those two linebackers, and again, I'm using those two linebackers on the Eagles, two linebackers on the Bills, the edge
Yeah.
goes to the Bills from
I
PFF.
was just looking too at their leading tackler this year. It's Reed Blankenship, their safety. And then Zach Cunningham is second with 61 total tackles, but he's actually only started 8 games this year. So it's very interesting when you look at it. I mean, Terrell Bernard is our leading tackler. It's never a great thing when your secondary is a leading tackler. So I think that speaks a little bit to the defense this year for the Eagles. Like I said, they've been a little more middle of the pack. I think they've taken a little bit of a step back just with losing Jonathan Gannon. I think he did a really good job last year. I mean, they had 4 guys with 10 plus sacks, which is just unheard of. So this year, you see a little bit of a drop off. I still think they're very good. They have some absolute dogs on that defense, and it's nothing to be overlooked. But you can see just in terms of the numbers, and I think overall production and how they played this year, just letting up, touchdowns and certain things in certain situations. I think this defense has taken a bit of a step back.
So Jake, I'm going to disagree a little bit on the linebacker side, and here's why. Even though PFF agrees with you from the eye test, I mean Tyrell Dotson a 90. I question that. I question
it is
that
interesting.
big time. Now look,
Sure.
he's been playing well, and I'm proud of this young guy. I mean, going into preseason, he was thought to be the starter, right? We thought he was going to be the starter, and he was just not looking good. In camp, we weren't hearing good things. He didn't show up in preseason. Bernard was injured, didn't even play in preseason, and all of a sudden, people were like running Dotson out of town. Get rid of this guy. Yeah. Get rid of him. Well, Bernard did start. Of course, Milano started as well, and Milano got hurt, and then Dotson came in. And since then, man, he's been playing pretty. He's not the best coverage. I think they bring in Dorian Williams on passing plays. They do rotate them in. But Dotson's been, as far as tackling, he seems to shoot the gap well. I've seen good things, and he may not be the best cover guy, but he's been doing great. So I'm happy for him. Of course, Bernard's been what a great surprise. If you'd have told me he was doing what he's doing right now, I'd say you're absolutely crazy. That wasn't going to happen. We didn't even know what we were going to get. We saw what we got last year, and we were concerned. But he has just lit it up, and nobody's saying, man, I miss Tremaine Edmonds. Not one person is saying that.
Not at all.
But Jake, I got to give the Eagles a slight edge here just because what I'm saying. Dotson, I'm not believing that PFF score. From my eye test with Bernard, I'm going to give them the slight edge. Now, in a draw scenario between you and I, PFF is the ruling number. So we're going to give this one to the Bills because PFF breaks the tie.
So PFF has the Bills at what you said, a 77 point something overall?
No, on linebackers, they have us averaging 80.1. That's because of that 90 score of Dotson.
Wow. That's very impressive.
And then the Eagles have a 75.5. So if it was me, I'd give it to the Eagles. You give it to the Bills. Tiebreaker goes to PFF.
I also think something to be said about our linebackers. I think they're more opportunistic than the Eagles linebackers. Like Terrell Bernard always finds himself in the way of a big play. Like he's forced some turnovers this year. Even Tyrell Dotson last game. I mean, he did forced a fumble, had a fumble recovery. I think the one game, was it last game too? Did he have a fumble recovery?
Who's that?
Tyrell Dotson.
No, not last.
Or was it a forced fumble?
Game. That was
like that.
Douglas, and it might have been Dotson who had a forced fumble. Yeah.
Yeah. But nonetheless, I think they're definitely more opportunistic than these other guys. They're more base linebacker play. Nick Morrow, I think he's a good linebacker. He's got 3 sacks this year, 36 tackles. Zach Cunningham, again, laying the lumber. He does what he does. He's bounced around a little bit, played with the Texans and I think the Titans as well. He's a good, solid linebacker. I think we're younger, and I think we're more opportunistic at that position. So that's also part of my reasoning for that.
Okay. Channel, you're being quiet after Big L said Happy Thanksgiving. I mean,
You know what, Mike?
we want your
Like I
opinion
said,
too.
Thanksgiving Eve, one of the biggest drinking nights in America. And listen, leave it to Buffalo to totally top that. Bars are open well past 4 a.m. even, which is normal time, normal closing time. So probably a lot of people out drinking, getting after it a little bit. So we'll let this live a little bit, and I'm sure we'll have some comments on it.
Yeah. So yeah, well, that's would love to hear in the channel as we go through these position groups, whether you're for the Bills, whether you're for the Eagles, you're just going to call us homers. That's okay. But let us know as we go through these groups who you're choosing has the edge. So let's get into the corners because this is interesting. So let me throw it to you on the corners.
I mean, it's tough to go against a guy like Darius Slay. Also, is James Bradbury's still on that team too. And then they go and acquire Kevin Byard. I think, in terms of the secondary alone, I know I sort of jumped into safeties there with Kevin Byard. I think you look at their 2 starting quarters or 2 corners, Darius Slay and James Bradbury. They are better than our 2 starting corners, technically. And I know Taron Johnson's played well. I think he's been picked on a little bit this year, but he's definitely our most reliable corner. Although I think Rasul Douglas may have a thing or two to say about that. He's been playing fantastic football. I just, I can't go against a guy like Darius Slay and James Bradbury. I think they're just too damn good. They've been there. They've done that. So I got to give the Eagles the corner.
So I want you to include the nickel corner as well.
Okay.
So the 3 of them. They got Slay, they got Roby, and they got Bradbury, like you said.
Bradley Roby, definitely an interesting, journey for him. Obviously, he gets drafted by Denver in the first round. He goes from Denver to Houston to New Orleans, then to Philly. He's had quite a bit of a career. I think our nickel is definitely better than Taron Johnson. I like Bradley Roby. I think he's had some moments over the years, but he's also been picked on a little bit himself. So I'm still going to give the Eagles the corner position just because of those 1 and 2 corners for them compared to ours. I think with nickel, we definitely outdo Bradley Roby with Taron Johnson, but our 1 and 2 I can't put them over Darius and James. Can't do it.
Man, I would put Douglas right there with Slay. I really would. So
I love that. I think he's definitely proving himself to a lot of people that were like a little indifferent about the trade. He's been unbelievable. But I mean, Darius Slay, just because of his history and what he's done in this league, I can't just put him there yet.
Yeah, I like Taron Johnson. I think Taron Johnson's the better slot corner or nickel corner, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. And then you got Dane Jackson. Now, PFF says you're wrong, Jake. PFF gives the edge to the Buffalo Bills, 74.7 average to 61.96. But I'm going to agree with you on this one. I'm going to give it to you in the Eagles because there's some concerns about injuries in the cornerback, right? We got Taron Johnson. He's in concussion protocol. We got Mike. Let me give you some of that injury news here. Let me bring that up real quick. I think I have that. Bring it up here real quick. Oh, man, I thought I had it. I'll find it while you talk a little bit more. But anyhow, yeah, the corners, I'm concerned because I know Taron Johnson, and I'm pretty sure Dane Jackson's in concussion protocol. And then you still have, well, we haven't gotten to the safeties yet, so I'll stick with just the corners. So let's say Taron Johnson doesn't play. Who do you think is going to play nickel, slot corner there?
Man, you could factor in a guy like Saran Neal, of course. He's got the size. He's got the ability to cover tight ends. And he's got the speed. He's one of the fastest players on the team. I mean, as big as he is, he's proven himself a little bit. I mean, this is a guy that we matched up against a guy like Travis Kelce, and he dominated. So that's certainly a dude to keep an eye on. Cam Lewis can play. I think he can also, be a factor there at the nickel position. You got Josh Norman, but I don't think he's a nickel guy. I think he's an outside corner, but he's also 35 years old. So it's a tough call. Jamarcus Ingram's also a name too. He's been brought up from the practice squad a few times. In all honesty, I think the right choice there is probably Saran Neal just because of his size and his ability to make up ground if he does get beat. And he's definitely more physical. And I think that's something that you have to do with the Eagles receivers. You got to jam up in the line. You got to get them off their route tree a little bit. And, I think that would be extremely important for the Bills going into this game.
Yeah, I like that call. I could see Cam Lewis, my guy Cam. Where's Trek Reviewer?
Yeah.
You heard it first.
I know. We need him in here.
Where is he? Where is he?
Yeah.
I like the call on Saran Neal because he is big and he's physical. Yep. And we saw him in preseason get a lot of play. And I was like wondering, are they showcasing him? Are they going to try to make a trade? But he was just killing it. And I really grew more of an appreciation for him. Now, I know you were talking about last year. I wasn't a big fan. I'm like, Jake, what are you talking about, my friend? Have you had too many Labats or something like that? But now, after I saw him in preseason, his size, he's fast. And I love those physical. You know me. I love those tall, over 6 foot guys, 200 pounds, who can lay the smack down and can keep up with these receivers or, whoever they're watching. So I like that call. I could see Cam as well. I did have an update on the injury report here. So let me give you that real quick. And so, yes, Dane Jackson, concussion protocol. Taron Johnson, concussion protocol. Taylor Rapp's an interesting one. I read something. After that injury, they have him listed as the neck and he did not practice. I read something where it's possible he might play. Now,
they're saying he's actually probably going to play, Mike.
Which is insane. The good news is during the game, he did not go to the hospital. So they reported that, which is always good news when they don't rush you to the hospital. So it took a big hit on that shoulder. I actually thought it was going to be a collarbone break. It wasn't. And he is looking like he might practice, which is good because Micah Hyde still has that neck stinger and he was limited in practice. So gonna be interesting.
It looks like a pinched nerve, to be honest with you, because the way he walked off a little bit, it was just one of those weird things where he went down and obviously precautionary. They had to put him on the backboard and make sure he was good to go. But he went home that night, and they are saying there's a very good chance he plays on Sunday, which is fantastic news.
Yeah, that is good. All right, so we'll give the Eagles the edge on the corners, which PFF doesn't like that at all. They're actually texting me right now. They're calling me. What are you doing? Okay, listen, PFF. We have our issues with you based on some of the scores. Did you know that they graded, and it's got to be a bug, Osiris Torrance like a 12 or something? It's ridiculous. How do you even have a number 12? If you've played a whole game, how do you even give someone a 12? That's obviously a bug. I'm trying to send their support team a
listen. I know I was feeling no pain last show, and that was one of my players of the game. Yeah. But Osiris Torrance, you turn on the tape. I thought he did a fantastic job. He had a tall task and, pass blocking against Quinnen Williams. Like he was unbelievable last game. I don't know what they saw there. There was only 1 sack allowed on Josh Allen. I don't even think it was on Osiris Torrance. So.
No, it was because Josh held on to the ball that one. He held on to it for a while.
I don't put that on him. So I don't know what they were looking at. Again, it's one of those things where it's a tool, right? You look at each individual snap and they kind of grade them on each of those things. And, I think it's obviously valid, but also at times, sometimes you do need to rely on just the eye test more so.
All right. Well, let's move on to the safeties position group. Eagles, Bills. Who are you giving the edge to here?
Oh, this is really tough because I've been saying for years the Bills have the best safety duo in the NFL, and this year you've noticed their age a little bit more, plain and simple. Obviously, with Micah Hyde being banged up, Jordan Poyer even being banged up this year, he's been so damn close, Mike, to getting an interception in multiple games this year. He almost had 2 the one game, and I think he's due for one this week. You look at him, you look at Micah Hyde, and obviously Taylor Rapp, and I think the depth in general too. Damar Hamlin and Cam Lewis, even those guys have had starting experience as well. I think because of that, while Kevin Byard is definitely one of the best safeties in the NFL, and he's one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most underrated superstars of the NFL, I'm going to give this one to the Bills a little bit here. They have some young talent there in Reed Blankenship. Like I said, he leads the team in tackles, which is never good to see, your safety leading the team in tackles. But they have a kid, Sidney Brown, who came in and drafted in the 3rd round for them. Josiah Scott as well, off the practice squad with Pittsburgh. So they're young at that position outside of those 2 that I named. Even Reed Blankenship, he's young too. He just got signed in, I think, 2022. So I think because of, again, it's one of those situations where I said, hey, the Eagles have the accolades at the corner position. The Bills have the accolades at the safety position. So I'm still going to give the nod to the Bills here.
All right. So, man, this is a tough one. If you're going by depth, if you're including depth, I give
I
the
am.
Bills the slight edge. But if
Right.
I'm going with the starting safeties, I'm
They've been
going to
pretty
give
damn good.
the Eagles a slight edge.
That's
Blankenship
fair.
has been off the charts. I mean,
Mhm.
absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to give them the edge. But when we have a draw, we go to PFF. PFF says the Eagles get the edge.
How
So
much? What is the difference there? I'm curious.
76.3 is the average
Okay.
PFF score between their two starting safeties, 71.3 on the Bills.
Okay.
So we're going to
Respectable.
give the Eagles. So we're wrapping up the defense there, and we gave the edge to the D line, gave the to the Bills, linebackers to the Bills, corners and safeties to the Eagles, although extremely close on
Yeah.
all these
Wow.
positions. So 2-2.
I think I'm most surprised about the corners, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Yeah, the Bills being as close as they are to the Eagles, because I feel like, James, you talk Darius Slay and James Bradbury. That's, you know, coming into the year, that's probably the best 1 and 2 corner in the league outside of maybe like the Dolphins with Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. So
Yeah.
I think
Well,
when you look at that, you think it's going to be a landslide victory for the Eagles, but it's definitely a lot closer than I thought.
Well, when you look at some from PFS perspective, Bradbury's a 57.4, Roby's a
Wow.
61.1, and Slay is a 67.4. You go over
Okay.
to the Bill side of things, you got Douglas at an 88.2, my friend. You
Killing it,
got
man.
Jackson at a 64.2, and you got Taron Johnson at a 71.7. So across
Wow.
the board, again, it's PFF, it's data. The eye test is what's really important, and results are really important. So,
Right.
and we gave the Eagles, the cornerback room. Let's slide on over. And by the way, let's see. Matt Chatter, you still out there, buddy? Aaron, still out there with us? Big L, you listening?
My dad's already given a score prediction there,
I
Mike.
see.
How about that?
I think Big L, he comes in early, he says hi. He's like, you know what? I got to get into get to bed early tonight. We got a
He's
big
going hunting
day.
in the morning.
Oh, that's there you go. He's going hunting in the
Yeah.
morning. Then he's
Yeah.
got to come home, get ready to go to your place. By the way, has anyone caught anything in hunting season yet this year?
So we've had multiple opportunities. Blaker's missed. Well, he hit, but he did not. Unfortunately, he did not get a kill. My dad definitely did, but it went on the neighbor's property, and unfortunately, we went so far onto the property, and we never found it. And when you
Uh,
start going on other people's property, they get a little weird about that. So
yeah,
yeah, it's
understood.
unfortunate.
Yeah, Big L saying 28-24 Bills win. I like the score. Happy Thanksgiving, Aaron and you guys. Thank you so much, Big L. Let's move on to the offensive side of the ball. All right.
Mm.
So defense, according to us, I mean, let's just actually I'll wait to the end to kind of say where we can take advantage, maybe answer Mad Chatter's question. Do we have a chance? Offense, let's start with the O-line, my friend.
Mm. This is probably the hardest one to really judge on. I mean, obviously, you talk about the biggest name on that offensive line for the Eagles and Jason Kelsey, and they have a hell of a supporting cast and Lane Johnson, who's an absolute stud, probably the best right tackle in football still to this day. Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens as well, a second-round pick in 2022, who's played very well. So it's man, I mean, with their overall talent, and then of course they get Tyler Steen this year too in the 3rd round, Mike, as their backup right guard, kid from Alabama who's fantastic. I think while the Bills O-line has played extremely well, it's hard not to go with the Eagles O-line here. So I'm going to give it to the Eagles. This is another thing where maybe accolades take ownership here. But I'll say this: I think the Bills' offensive line has well outperformed our expectations this year. But it is close. I definitely think it is close.
Yeah, I agree with you that we've exceeded expectations 100%. But let me give you some, couple quick numbers here. The Eagles have given up 27 sacks in 10 games.
Wow.
The
Okay.
Bills have given up.
It's got to
Who's the
be
Bills here?
Teens,
Give
maybe.
me a sec. 14.
Yeah,
14 in 11 games we've given up. Now,
that's
both, you
impressive.
can't say it's because Josh Allen's a running quarterback. He can escape because so is Jalen Hurts.
Hmm.
So they give up a lot of sacks. They gave up a lot of sacks last year as well to Jalen Hurts. And you saw it in the Chief game on Monday night. 5 sacks in the first half. Now they adjusted at halftime. I don't know what they did, but they were able to protect Hurts a little bit better. They came back and won that game. But 5 sacks in the first half, they had none in the second.
Wow.
So let's see. So Tom's saying he was at
Tom, you're at
just
East
around
Aurora
Brennan.
Barbell?
When was
Son
that,
of a
Tom?
gun, man. Yeah, when was that? Was that just recently? Because I was at 189 next door, went to Barbell for lunch. I mean, right when they opened. We're talking like 11:30. We were in there. We were out at about maybe 1-ish. Then we went to 189 next door. We were there until about 5:30. So, shoot, man, I miss you. That's tough.
Yeah. Hopefully you're home safe now, getting ready for Thanksgiving. And
Or he's
Tom,
still there. Right
before the
before
puck
puck
drop.
drop. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So Tom, since you joined us and you're a longtime member, you're actually the only member of our official. Now we have membership now, Jake. I
Oh,
haven't
look at
put
that
that out
logo
there.
next to him there.
I haven't. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
exactly. I haven't put that out there yet because there's more important things. I would love to donate more to Cardell for right now.
Sure.
But you can join the Nickel City Mafia crew here. Join us. There's a membership. Support the channel. There's a silver and a gold. And by the way, if you did do that, all the money raised this month and next month for memberships would go to Cardell. Just let you know. Let's see here. Comedian Mo Brown, Mafia. We destroy Philly. I love it. I love it.
Love it, Mo. By the way, I love this too. Buffalo wings over Philly cheesesteaks. I absolutely agree. But I am very excited. I got to say, so Mike, I am meeting up with our guy Keith
Yeah.
on Saturday, and we're going to go get a legitimate Philly cheesesteak. So I'm very excited for that. But I 100% agree. Nothing's going to top those barbell wings, Tom. I mean, today I probably crushed about 25 total wings. I had the medium and then the Cajun honey butter barbecue. My goodness, it's a chef's kiss. I even had a hot one in there too. So that blue cheese, it's homemade. There's nothing better, man. Nothing better. And I like this comment. Need Shaq Leonard. It's crazy to me because Shaq Leonard was an all-pro 2 years ago, Mike. He was one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Had a bad injury last year, missed the whole year, only played in one game. And then this year, he just wasn't really playing up to standards. So the Colts go ahead and release him. He actually cleared waivers. So now he's an official free agent. And supposedly there's some interest with the Philadelphia Eagles, the team that we're playing this weekend. So very interested to see what happens there. I think Shaq Leonard, it's crazy. I mean, this dude comes out, wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, has 163 tackles his first year. Second year, goes off another 100-plus tackle season, 5 interceptions. And then in 2021, this dude had 8 forced fumbles, which is insane. Really reminds me a lot of the career path of LeVar Arrington. LeVar Arrington came in, was an absolute flash in the pan, absolutely killed it. And then he had some injuries that sort of derailed him. And I hope the same thing doesn't happen, but it definitely is very eerie and similar to LeVar Arrington's career.
I love it. Then we got Tom saying, thanks, by the way, for joining us, comedian Mo Brown. Appreciate you, man, as always. Tom saying, had the beefy, try the suicide sauce. Have you tried that, Chef's
I have
Kiss?
not tried the suicide sauce. I am too scared to do that. Listen, I had a hot wing. Like I said, I threw that in there. I always do one a year. Sometimes it's actually been more than one, but my boss, Sam, he freaking loves the hot wings. I don't know. He's a psychopath in that sense because he'll have multiple of those. It's like, man, after a certain point, that's just too hot. You can't really enjoy it as much. Even with the blue cheese, Mike, it doesn't cool it down enough. Man, Tom, how was that suicide sauce, man? That's like another level of hot.
You can't talk. All they can do is type right now, I bet.
Probably. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we gave the O-line to the Eagles, gave them the edge, even though the Eagles have given up more sacks, quite a bit more sacks.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Than the Bills. So that gives me, I'm very optimistic that we can take advantage of that, just like the Chiefs did in the first half. Hopefully we can get another 3 to 4 sack game against them. We'll see. But it looks like, based on what I'm seeing on the numbers, that's a very high possibility.
Now, it's no easy task. Obviously, that's a really good defensive line, like I said.
Yeah.
What is the PFF difference between the Bills and the Eagles?
So PFF, it's pretty big. They give the O-line for the Eagles 76.84, and they give the
Wow.
Bills an average of 66. And what's crazy about that is Kelsey. I think Kelsey was drafted in 2011. He was like a sixth
Yeah.
round pick. And look at that guy. You look at his numbers year after year. He's stellar. He's one of the, if not the best center in the NFL, one of them.
Yeah.
So good stuff there. And it was
You know,
probably, yeah, go ahead.
I think I'm just looking at like last game stats too against the Chiefs, and Chris Jones had 2 sacks. He's the
Yeah.
interior defensive lineman. You know, it's interesting when you say that, Mike. I was curious to see because I saw him get a couple sacks, so I was curious to see like what the numbers looked like there. George Karlaftis with a sack last game. Trent McDuffie off the edge, the corner, with 2 sacks last game. So maybe we'll see some of that this week.
Yeah, they were playing. Let's see here. They were playing Jones. They were moving him around. They actually had him on the edge as well.
Yeah. He usually does. Yeah.
And you remember a couple of years ago, they actually, when they got off to a bad start, they were playing Jones on the edge
Mhm.
pretty much all the time. And then they got off to this horrible start. They bring Jones back into the interior and they turn things around. But he's that type of guy, man. They'll move him around. But
he's
yeah,
really
so
good.
PFF agreed with you big time on the Eagles there. But again, it's interesting. The Bills giving up a lot less sacks. We've only given up 14 through 11 games. They've given up, where is it right there? 27.
27
So
sacks. That's a lot of sacks.
16 more sacks in one game less. They've played 10 games. We played 11. So I think last year,
Almost 3 a game.
Hurts was sacked about 30, 36 or 30. It was crazy, the number of sacks. Now, I don't know if that has to do with the type of, I don't know if they count it where he does an RPO and they tackle him for a loss and they call that a sack. I don't know. It's just crazy to me, that good offensive line giving up that many sacks. So something to watch for there in the game. Tight ends, I think we can skip through this pretty quickly. Now, they have Dallas Goedert, but he's out. He's been out. He's been injured. And they have a gentleman by the name of
Jack Stoll, Alberto,
Stoll.
and then Grant Calcaterra. Yeah, which, you know what? Listen, solid players, but they're nowhere near Dalton Kincaid or even Quentin Morris for that matter.
If Dawson was playing, I'd still give us the edge if Dawson was in there.
Absolutely.
I can't wait for Dawson to get back. I know a lot of people were happy with Kincaid, but I love the versatility that he brings in. And Morris has been doing great as well, but Knox brings a little more. He's a great blocker, just like Morris is, but I think he adds a little bit more in the passing game as well.
I agree.
All right, so we give the O-line to the Eagles. We give the tight end room to the Bills. And then who do we got here? Wide receivers next, Jake. This is a good one.
I mean, you got to give it to the Eagles. Like, they're number 1 and 2. They're just, listen, as good as Steph Diggs is, I don't know if we have a clear-cut number 2. I will say this. Khalil Shakir has been playing out of his mind. He's been fantastic over the last few weeks. And I do think he will succeed Gabe Davis as that number 2 guy, even though he's technically our slot receiver. And our real number 2 probably is Dalton Kincaid when you really look at it. And listen, Joe Brady came out and said that Gabe Davis was the best player on that field offensively last week, and we don't win without Gabe Davis. While he's a great blocker, you just want to see a little bit more in the passing game from him. I think as a true number 2 and as a guy that's in his contract year looking to be paid, you want to see a guy putting up numbers, and he's not even catching touchdowns anymore, Mike. He didn't even have a target technically last week. So I think with all that being said, you have 2 dudes that are potentially able to go off for 100 yards every week with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. And by the way, they have Julio Jones, who, listen, I know he's late in his career, but Julio's still Julio, all right? Like, he can still play. So, you got to give the nod to the Eagles here. They have Olamide, Zacchaeus as well, and then they have my boy Britton Covey, who was mistaken for a fan last year, which is a hilarious story in itself. But very good return guy. So going to give that to the Eagles here.
Okay, this is a tough one. I guess if you look at the top 2, the number 1 and number 2, you take just those 2 guys, the Eagles get the edge. But you add in that slot receiver, and if you add in Khalil, PFF says the Bills have the edge in the wide receiver room, 74.66 to 72 average for the Eagles. But I'm going to go with you. Gabe Davis, our number 2 receiver, no shows last couple games. And don't get me wrong, he does other things. It wasn't like they just didn't target him. So if you don't get target, you're not going to catch. But he was out there blocking. There's a reason why that run game was going so well. I mean, he's out there. Probably he plays more snaps than any other receiver on our team, I think. Yeah. So, but I agree with what Comedian Mo Brown is saying, Gabe will have a
I love
day.
that.
I
He's
love
due,
it.
man. He's
He
due.
is. And let me
Yeah.
tell you, if you do DraftKings Showdown, he's a sneaky pick, and I will have him in my lineups this week. I'll have
Nice.
him in my lineups because I still remember when I came out a couple of years ago, I was at your office and I had a fantasy football thing going on. I
Yeah.
said, Jake, do I start Gabe? And Gabe was also struggling up until that point. And you said no. You talked me out of Gabe. Gabe goes and has a
Of course.
game, and
Yeah.
I would have won the game for fantasy football, but I lost.
Man.
No more. Gabe Davis, I'm with you. I'm going to say CMB. CMB sounds cool. Comedian Mo Brown. I hope you like that. CMB. CMB, I totally agree. Gabe Davis, I think he has a game. He's back. You can't go
like
3
that.
games without getting Gabe involved, getting Gabe targets. And this is a huge game. And who shows up in big games? This man.
Big game to Gabe. Yeah.
Big game, Gabe. All right. So the O line to the Eagles, the tight ends to the Bills, and you're giving the wide receivers to the Eagles. So
it's crazy because you could really consider AJ Brown even an MVP candidate this year based on how he's been playing. I know last week he didn't do much. He had like 1 catch for 8 yards or 9 yards or whatever it was, but man, he's got over 1,000 yards this year and he's been absolutely killing it.
Thank God we got Rasul Douglas. He's a big guy, was 6'2", 200 pounds.
It's gonna be a tough test, though.
And it is going to be a tough test. But if we would have had either, if Dane Jackson has to guard him, that's a big mismatch right there. But the Bills have done a pretty good job on top wide receivers this year. So their scheme keeps those guys from getting huge days. So hopefully they can keep that going. But yeah, I'll agree with you. Wide receivers will go with the Eagles there. So let's get to the running backs. Your thoughts on the running back room?
This is probably the closest one I think we have here on this list. I mean, you talk position group by position group. Running backs are very close because I think the Bills have been really on an upwards trend with their running backs. You see this running game starting to get involved a little bit. James Cook with 17 carries last week, and DeAndre Swift. I mean, he's been playing very well this year. I think he's been putting up pretty good numbers. They still have Kenny Gainwell, obviously Boston Scott, Rashad Penny as well, a guy that's sort of been forgotten in that whole mix, a former first-round pick. So while I think they do have very good depth, the Buffalo Bills have some pretty damn good depth themselves. Ty Johnson with a really good game last week. Love the involvement from him too. And obviously Latavius Murray looking like he's 33 years old, but he's looking like he's 25 years old. So I think I'm going to actually give the nod to the Bills on this one, just because I think overall, all of our running backs have something really good to offer. I know the Eagles running backs do as well, but I just feel a little more confident with our backs.
I'm 100% with you. When you look at the 3 backs that we have, I mean, PFF. Now, I only use the starting back. I gave Cook and against Swift. Cook is rated a 74.8 and Swift is a 64.1. Swift is a very good back, very good receiving back. He's very similar to Cook. Cook has the edge in PFF. But again, PFF is just kind of a deciding factor. But I am going to go with the Bills just because of how Latavius Murray has played. We have Lombardi.
They don't have that power back either. They have a bunch of guys that are more shifty. I would say if you look at a power back, it's probably Rashad Penny out of that whole list there.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift has a little bit of both, a little finesse, a little bit of power. But I just think the Bills bring a little more to the table there.
I agree. I mean, we've been talking about where's Lombardi Lenny, and he may not be getting activated anytime soon based on what Ty Johnson did last game. So, yeah, definitely I'm going to give the Bills the edge here. All right, Jake.
And when you have a guy like that too, Mike, when you have a guy like Lombardi Lenny that can't even get playing time on this team, this is a dude that had his career high in catches last year in 73. And for whatever reason, and listen, you could say the Bills are dumb at times, but there's a reason why he's not playing over these other backs. And when you're able to play these other backs over him and still find success and have this dude on your practice squad, that's got to say something about our running backs right now. So
totally agree.
I feel pretty confident with that one.
All right, here's the tiebreaker. You got the O-line for the Eagles. And again, the O-line, I think overall, when you have the O-line, a better O-line, that makes everyone behind them better for the most part. It gives you more time to pass. But here it is, quarterback, Jake. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen.
It's wild because everyone's talking about Jalen Hurts as an MVP candidate this year, and I think he's had a fantastic year. you look statistically, it's not like glaring by any means. 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He does have 9 rushing touchdowns, a lot of those off the tush push, which I think we're going to get so annoyed by this weekend, by the way, Mike. But all in all, I mean, JA-17 leads the NFL in touchdowns right now. The guy is still playing very good football, and I think Josh's potential is through the roof. I still think he's a top 3 quarterback in this league, and I think Jalen's a top 5 quarterback, but I just think Josh is better. So you got to give it to our boy JA-17, plain and simple.
You absolutely do. If you look at all the numbers, Jake, Josh Allen has Hurts beat. So if you're talking about him for, did you say MVP candidate?
Jalen, yeah. People
if you're talking
about
Jalen in the MVP,
9-1 team, though,
I know that's the thing. It's that winning. I think I heard Sean say, and I agree with him. If the Bills somehow were able to pull this together and just rattle off some wins against the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and they go on this win, and Allen stays at his current pace, he could get right back into that conversation. I mean,
I'll say this: if we're an 8-3 team right now, Josh Allen's probably the front runner for MVP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you talk about interceptions. So Hurts has thrown 9 in 10 games. And of course, Allen's thrown, what's Allen got right now? I
12.
think
he's 22 and 12, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, he's got 12 in 11 games. So Hurts is not that far behind. Everyone talks about these interceptions being thrown by Josh Allen. Hurts is only three behind him, and he's played 1 less game. So go figure. Same thing with Mahomes. He's played 1 less game. He's thrown 9 interceptions. So these guys are throwing interceptions. I also want to say something. Well, I'll wait because I have another good stat here for later on. All right, so quarterback edge goes to the Bills. I'm with you there, 100%. So on the offense, we got O-line for the Eagles, Bills for the tight ends, Eagles for the receivers, running back and quarterback for the Bills. So there's a couple other important aspects to a team. Let's start with special teams, Jake.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I don't know. You're saying, oh, yeah, but our special teams.
Yeah, I know. You're right. I would say of any unit, special teams has probably been the most suspect of all of them.
Yes.
I mean, they have allowed some big returns this year, specifically our punt team. And even Tyler Bass, he was in a little bit of a funk himself. I think he's getting back. I'll tell you what, though, it all starts with the snap. And no offense to Rick Lovato, but my boy Reed Ferguson is killing it this year. Dude even laid the lumber last game or two games ago against the Broncos. So I'm going to give us the edge in long snappers at least. But, Jake Elliott, pretty good kicker. Braden Mann, solid punter. This is one of the cases where I think I'm going to go off of like accolades and what they've done over previous years. I still think we just edged them out there. Tyler Bass has been a very solid kicker for us. I know this year hasn't been the best year for him, but I'm going to give it to the Bills based on that.
I'm going to call it a draw. I don't have any PFF numbers to give you.
That's fair.
I'm going to call it a draw only from the eye test. I haven't seen a lot of the Eagles. You mentioned them on their special teams, but Slippery Sam Martin, as you like to call him,
he's not been great.
Been pretty bad this year in critical situations. I mean, going back to the first game of the year when we lost to the Jets, that punt return in overtime, that was a horrible kick by him. And of course, they ran it back for us. But it's been like that. It's been consistent. And then, Bass, he's missed an extra point last week, and he's missed some field goals in critical situations. So,
if we're talking this year, honestly, Mike,
I'm just saying this year.
Yeah, I mean, this year, I'd probably have to give it to the Eagles. I think Jake Elliott's only missed like 2 field goals this year. And you talk about their punter, Braden Mann, who played with, I think, the Jets before, averaging like 48 yards a punt this year. His net average is better. I mean, Sam Martin's net average is like 38 point something, which is not great. You want to see that in the 40s. He's allowing a lot of yards on the returns just because he's been kicking like these line drive kicks. Yeah. It's been bad the last few games.
Got to give it to the Eagles.
I think you have to, just based on that.
Now, I know long snapper, Reed wins, hands down.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When you look at the special teams overall coverage, punters, field goal kicker, and just the coverage on kickoffs and punts, I think you got to give it to the Eagles there.
Yeah.
All right, coaching, another important aspect of games. So, you got the Bills. You got Sean McDermott, a defensive-minded coach. You got our new offensive coach, Joe Brady. And on the other side, you got Nick. How do you say Nick's last name? Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, Nick
Yeah.
Sirianni.
By the way, Jamestown, New York, Mike, just outside of Buffalo, about an hour or
Nice.
so away. So kind of a Buffalonian himself and an absolute character. I mean, this dude brings the fire every game. Quite the opposite of Sean McDermott, who is a little
Mhm.
more even keeled. But it's interesting because Sean McDermott started his career with the Eagles, learned under Jim Johnson, and has sort of built his whole repertoire off of that, learning his defense and kind of building up his rank through the Eagles organization. He's kind of become the coach he is because of the Eagles. So, yeah, I mean, you look at experience. Obviously, Sean McDermott has it, but I think overall, I mean, it's hard to go against a team that's 9-1 and a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. So I'm going to have to give this one to the Eagles.
Now, let me ask you. I know Nick is a offensive-minded coach, and we had that conversation. And if you listen
Yeah,
to the summit last night, you know Anthony talked about Salah being a defensive-minded coach, and I mean you've said it too. This is an offensive game these days, and who has that edge? Is it the defensive-minded coach or the offensive-minded coaches? It seems like newer hires now are looking for those offensive-minded coaches. Does he call the plays, or is Brian Johnson, the OC, call the plays
Brian
on that team?
Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, so Brian Johnson is responsible for calling the plays. I'm sure there's a little bit of influence from Sirianni there, but Brian
Yeah.
Johnson, he's a first-time play caller himself because they lost Shane Steichen to the Colts and they lost their DC to the Cardinals. So it's a very interesting mix here. You got Nick Sirianni, who's a little experienced now as a head coach, but you got two new coordinators there. But I think just because of that and how well they've done this year and still putting up very similar numbers, you got to give them the edge. I was going to say something too.
Defensive coach. So their defensive coach is Sean Desai.
That's what I wanted to say too.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I think a good defensive head coach is a guy that lets his other coaches do the coaching. When he doesn't have too much influence, you let your guys coach. That's something I can say about shout out to Turner Gill. He was with the Buffalo Bulls UB football team back in the day. And it was the first time the University of Buffalo actually found success. I know I'm comparing this to a MAC school in the NCAA, but it's a very interesting point. He was more of an offensive guy, but he really didn't get involved with the offense. He didn't want to be too much of an influence. He just let his guys do the coaching. And I think that's something Sean McDermott needs to do a little more of. I don't know how much influence he has on the offense, but it did seem like last week he let Joe Brady do his thing. And when Ken Dorsey came out in his press conference a few weeks ago, he sort of alluded to the fact that Sean McDermott had a little bit of an influence on how he wanted the scheme to roll and, sort of what he wanted to do. And it just seemed like the team wasn't having fun. They weren't clicking. Last week, it was a totally different story, and we did it against a really good defense. So I think there is something to be said about, we talk defensive-minded coaches. Well, I think it's okay to have a guy like that, but you got to let your offensive coaches and
Correct.
other guys coach, plain and simple.
I totally agree there. So we'll give the Eagles the edge. I
Yeah.
love McDermott. I know he's been taking a lot of heat, and if this Bills team doesn't make the playoffs, they're going to be talking about him being fired. I like him. I mean, we can stop talking about everyone's like, you can't fire McDermott. He got us out of the drought. Well, we seemed to peak a couple years ago, but I'm a fan of his. I still believe in him. I think making that had to be a tough move to make that call to fire Dorsey. He did it, even though some of us feel like it was a scapegoat move. But hey, first week results were good. Let's see what it looks like this week as well. But I'll give the edge to the coaching, to the Eagles. Like you said, they've been doing it. They're 9-1. They were in the Super Bowl last year. And then speaking of that, so let me just say this year, the Eagles have been involved in 70% of their games, one score.
Wow.
One score.
Yeah.
All right. And so the difference is they're getting the wins. They're making the plays when they need it. The Bills have been in, 7 as well, but they've played 11 games. But unfortunately, last year we had a ton. I forget what the number is. We were in a ton of one-score games last year. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
People were saying we couldn't win close games, but we won a bunch of close games.
Right.
This year it's not been the case. We have had 7 one-score games, and we haven't been very good at winning those one-score games. Yeah. So it's crazy when you think about it. And the Washington Commanders had big leads on the Eagles. Both games they played, probably
Yep.
should have won that game. Somehow the Eagles found a way to come back. And that's the difference this year. It's been the Eagles find a way to win, good teams find a way to win. The Bills haven't been doing that. They've done it in prior years. And hopefully they're steering, they're getting back on the track. They're steering in the right direction now based on what we saw. So that's a big difference. You would think Eagles are blowing people out. Nope, they're not.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when you look at these numbers there. All right,
They're only lost to the New York Jets.
the New York
Isn't that
Jets,
crazy?
which is the team we just beat, and we actually dropped a good number of points on that stout
Which,
defense
grand scheme of things, I don't think it means anything because it
because
changes
of
week
their
to
offense.
week.
Yeah, because of
Right.
their offense too. Is there's so much put on the Jets defense. It's like the guys were talking about last night. If you just go into a game and you say, you know what, don't get crazy, don't make any turnovers, punt the ball, don't go for it on 4th and 1, don't be too crazy, you'll win the game because
Yeah.
they just don't know how to put up points right now. They just can't, not with that O-line banged up as much as they are. So completely different story this week. You're not going to have any of that. You're going to have an offense that can fire, put up points. You're going to have a tough defense to go against. I think this is just going to be one of those heavyweight battles. I think the
Love
Bills
it.
they have the potential to beat any team in this league. We know that they haven't been doing it, but they have the talent, and it's going to be just a great game. So last one here for as far as the grading, and even though this is not a home game for us, the fan base. Who's got the better fan base, Jake?
Oh man. This is a battle of probably the two most degenerate fan bases you're going to find out there. I mean, I'm coming to Philly, Mike. I'm coming to Philly. So if I'll be damned if I don't give the Buffalo Bills fan base the edge here. Listen,
I was being seriously concerned if you were not going to say the Buffalo Bills.
no team in the NFL. The Eagles are a very good fan base, probably the best in the NFC. But you get the best in the AFC coming your way, and the best in the NFL for damn sake. I mean, we are probably number one. They're probably number two.
This gentleman agrees with you. Let me have him do his thing. If you smell what the Rock, he totally agrees with you. Cooking. The Rock coming in. If you smell what the Rock is cooking,
love it. I love it.
All right, so we give the fan base to the Bills. They do travel well. It's going to be interesting to see how many fans. Now, it's great to have you. You'll be there. And you said, have you decided? Because we know Philly's a dangerous place to go. I mean, that's well documented. It's well known. Keith went there a few weeks ago. I don't think his encounters were too bad. He's a Dolphins fan. But what jersey are you going to be wearing? I think you were talking about Shady McCoy.
I was. And I'll say this, I'm not going to just buy a random jersey. Listen, no disrespect to Shady, but I got to roll with the guy that's been getting it done this year for me. I'm 2-0 wearing this Reggie Gilliam jersey. I wore it to the show tonight. I'm rolling with Reggie Gilliam, and I'll tell you this, that fan base can chirp me a little bit, but they should know if I'm wearing a Reggie Gilliam jersey, I'm a real one for that because no one wears the fullbacks jersey. So maybe they might have to be doing their research as well just to see who this guy is. They might think it's a custom jersey, So, yeah, I'm rolling with Reggie Gilliam. And I'll say this too, like the fan base in Philly, I've heard is terrible in terms of like chirping the away team fans and, getting on them a little bit. But I think if you keep your peace, the fact that we're going with these other Bills fans, we'll be okay. We'll get out of there alive.
So, Jake, first I got two questions. Who's going with you?
Yeah. So it's
how many people?
So in total, we'll have a group of probably like 8 or so people. Because it's me, my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my wife's aunt. Her cousin was supposed to go, but now is unable to. So we have another person filling in for them. I'm not sure who that is. And then her other cousin is going with her future husband and then their friends. So it'll be a nice group of people. I don't think those folks are sitting with us, but we'll be sitting with a bunch of Bills fans. So I'm really excited for it, Mike. It's going to be great.
I just hope the girls are able to, drop the gloves and go at it if they have to.
Yeah. Little Oklahoma drill maybe in the parking lot. We'll see. We'll really determine who has a better O-line then.
My second question, because the Jake Podger that we see on the show and the Jake Podger that goes to the games, it's been said he's two different people when he's at the game. And we saw that different Jake Podger Sunday night. And the question is, has that Jake Podger ever gotten into a face or into a confrontation with another fan base at a game? Ever?
I have not. I'm very peaceful. I'm a pacifist at heart. If they come at me a little bit, I'll chirp them. I probably won't even really chirp them back. I'm like Larry Fitzgerald, Mike. I can't even chirp. I'm not quick on my feet like that. I don't think very fast. I'll just like congratulate them or something, and they'll be like, "Oh, I was kind of hoping for a different reaction," just like I do in the comments. I mean, if someone comes at us in the comments, I'm not going to be mean to them or anything like that. I am all for taking the kill them with kindness approach, and that's what I do in real life. I always think like, "Hey, what if my daughter was here watching me?"
Mhm.
And sometimes that's hard to do, but try to put that into perspective.
I love it. I love it. That's like me too. I can't be
Yeah,
confrontational in the
can't
game.
do it.
But let
Plus,
me ask
plus,
you
I would
this:
lose a fight. I'm
I'm
not a
sure
good fighter,
I'm
probably.
sure you've seen those confrontations. Have you ever gotten in the middle of one to kind of stop one or anything like that? Because they happen.
Only in an actual game. I've never actually done it like while playing. I've never
Okay.
actually been in the crowd where there's been a fight where I've gotten in the middle of it. I've never been a part of that. Um, I always feel it's best just not to get involved, which is tough. I hate being like the bystander, but sometimes you're better off just kind of leaving yourself out of it. There's just too much that can go wrong.
All right. And I love that. So let's get into the final thing we're going to talk about. Mad Cheddar, I hopefully we answered your questions. Do the Bills have a chance? Absolutely. We went position group by position group. I mean, it's pretty much a dead heat when you look at it.
Yeah.
These two teams, obviously, one team has that 9-1 record. I told you they've had 7 close one-score games. Easily could have lost a couple of those, but they got it done, sort of like we did last year. We need to turn the corner because we've had 7-1 score games. We need to turn the corner and start winning those. So, Jake, let's talk about this week. How do the Buffalo Bills get it done? And who are you taking for this game?
Well, it's hard not to take the Buffalo Bills. I mean, you have to take them. It's crazy when I look at like all the analytics and all that. I think the Eagles are 3.5 point favorites,
They are.
but they have the Bills at a 54% chance of winning. So it's very interesting when you break it down that way. I do think that going into this season and really going into this week, like the Bills are sort of riding a hot hand. Although the Eagles just beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was a really nice comeback victory for them. So, they're kind of on their high horse as well. Um, to be honest with you, I think it starts at the quarterback position. And I think he's feeling himself. I mean, you saw the sound bits last week. He got a fresh cut. He says he's back. He said, "I'm effing back," by the way, Mike. So that's awesome. And, I think this is going to be a really special week for the Bills. I think we are starting to peak at the right time, as comedian Mo Brown said. He said, "We're peaking at the right time. If Miami loses Friday, too, I mean, that's just more fuel to the fire." And I know when our team has expectations, we always seem to fail. But I think they're over that. I think they're ready to take the next step. You could feel the energy in the air at that stadium. It was just different. And I think they're going to carry that over this week. So while I think it's going to be very close, it's going to be a juggernaut battle. I mean, they're going to leave with some bruises. I think the Bills are pulling this off, and I'm going to give you a score. I'm going to say 31-26 Bills.
Wow, you're going high scoring there. So the weather,
Yep.
you said, is mid 40s. No,
Yeah,
no
pretty good
rain or
weather.
anything like that. No rain.
No, I
or-
didn't see any of that. No.
Okay. So for me, for the Bills to win this game, similar to what you said, we got to win the turnover battle. I mean, we've lost so many games because we've given up the ball more than we've taken the ball. And if you look at last week, we came in strong. What do we have? 4 turnovers. We had the 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. So I think we had 3 turnovers.
Got to be opportunistic.
Yeah, we got to be opportunistic. Got to win that turnover battle. JA17 has to do JA17 things, but stay calm, stay clean. Don't throw those silly interceptions. Those will kill us.
Yeah.
I think if the Bills do that, they win this game. They have all the skills. They have the skill set to do this. They know how to do this. JA17 can get the job done. We give him the edge over Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is what? Is this his 3rd year or 2nd year?
This is his 4th year, actually.
4th year?
Mike. Yeah.
Seriously?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is, right?
I'm not sure. Let's take it. Well,
it is. Yeah, it's his 4th year.
4th year? Okay.
4th year. Yeah.
Was he a starter right out of the gate?
No, he was not. Actually, Carson Wentz was the starter in 2020.
That's why I'm losing a year. That makes sense. So stay clean. It's going to be about turnovers. Do not turn the ball over. Whoever wins that battle, to me, wins this game. I'm going to go Bills. Obviously, I have to go Bills. Is this a do or die situation? No. I mean, you're not going to be mathematically eliminated, but you need to win these games 1 game at a time.
It
and
would do wonders
it
for
would
us,
do wonders not
honestly.
only for our what do you want to call just for our
Morale.
morale. Yes, it would do wonders to beat a team. Now the Jets did it. I think the Jets did it in New Jersey, right? I think that was an away game.
It was. It
Was it?
might have been
Let's.
in Philly, actually. Let me look that up.
That
I'm
would be huge
curious.
if it was.
It was. Let me see. I got the schedule here.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so it was at least in their home turf, but yeah, I mean, huge victory for them. You look at what the Chiefs did last week and something they just totally got away from. Isaiah Pacheco had 19 carries for 89 yards, Mike.
Um,
I mean, we got James Cook going. He had 17 carries for 73 yards, and Latavius also added some yards on the ground as well. I think that, and it sounds so cliche, but it was the right way. I think they ran the ball efficiently, and it was the right way to run the football to take the pressure off of Josh and allow them to play the complementary football that we've been missing for so many weeks now. So I think that's going to be a big thing, shifting those running backs in and out. Love the Ty Johnson involvement. I actually want to see some more. Now I'm craving some more. I mean, you saw what he did in
yeah.
New Jersey a few years ago
Yeah.
with the Jets. I actually thought he was a pretty solid back. And last week you saw some signs of it too. So I think shifting those guys in and out, getting James Cook going, I want to see the 16 plus carry games from him. I think that's fantastic. And they ran the ball in the right scenarios. So I think that's something that will certainly help this offense continue to move forward. And, obviously targeting Dalton Kincaid, throwing in the middle of the field. I mean, what a difference that is for us too. So two things that I really want to key in on, obviously, is running the football efficiently and at the right times, not overdoing it, of course, but, doing enough to play that complementary football and then throwing over the middle and getting those yards in the middle of the field.
Yeah, so I love it. The running game, we have a very good running game. I think you'll see that. Like you said, the Chiefs ran pretty well. And I actually give our running backs the edge over the Chiefs. I know Pacheco's, I like the kid, but I still give us our three-headed rotation that we have. I absolutely love that.
Had they stayed with it, I think it's a totally different game too last week.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
really,
Kincaid, I think, the film's out. They're going to be scheming for him. They know this kid is fantastic. So this is where I think Gabe gets back into the game. I think Gabe's going to have 6 for a touchdown. I think.
Oh, I like it.
Now I'm not going to give a score prediction, but I would say I think it's going to be another, one score game.
Score one.
I think it's going to be no. I'll say somebody will win by 1 or more points, but I think it's a 1-score game again. Why wouldn't you say that when 70% of Phillies games have been 1-score games and 60-something% of the Bills games have been 1-score games? It seems like the NFL, if you were to add them all up, there's been a ton of 1-score games. And I think it's going to happen here also because you're traveling there and other Bills Mafia are going there. You're going to give us the edge. So we're going to win this one.
Man, we need it.
I can't wait to celebrate Sunday night. Now,
heck yeah.
You are in Philly till when? When do you come
I
home?
will be coming back on Monday. So I was actually going to pitch. Maybe we do the post-game show on Monday night, if that's okay with you.
I think we have to.
It might be tough on Sunday night.
I think we have to.
Considering we do have an open bar tailgate, so I don't want to repeat of last Sunday. So I think Monday night might be safe.
Monday. For sure. So good stuff, everyone. So thank you again. The chat got a little quiet. I guess everyone's out there drinking, celebrating. You did say it's the biggest drinking day before Thanksgiving. Maybe they threw back a few too many. I don't know, but we appreciate you for those that came out there and put some messages out there in the chat. Would love to hear as you go through the position groups that we did. Put in the comments on the rewatch who you think has the edge in those position groups. And then, even the special teams, the coaches, the fan base, and then give us your prediction for the game. And let's go. I look forward to hearing your experience in Philly, Jake. It's going to be fantastic. When do you leave? You leave Friday?
Leaving Friday. On Black Friday, probably at like 9 a.m. So we'll get there. It's about a 6.5-hour drive. And be meeting up with our boy Keith on Saturday to do a real chili Philly cheesesteak. So that'll be great. And then Saturday night, supposedly, Mike, Eric Wood is going to be a guest at one of the tailgate VIP parties. So I'm pretty excited for that. So I'm going to have to give us a little plug to Eric Wood. Maybe we can get him on the show.
You're going to go to that?
I will be going to that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is Keith going with you?
I don't know. I'll invite him. I
Because
think you need a
you
ticket.
said
It's part of
Saturday
our
night.
package.
Oh, got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
It's so
definitely,
yeah.
definitely record some of the experiences with Keith, some of the food places there. It would be great to see, you guys, what restaurant you decide to go to. I think are you going to be by the market where Rocky runs down the street and goes to the
Oh,
top?
we got to do it.
You going
We
to
got
do
to do
that?
it. We're doing
And
the stairs. We're doing it all, baby.
awesome. Well, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Wear your Bills jersey, go to the top of that thing, and do what Rocky does. Just jump up and down. Because we are
Yeah.
the underdog, just like Rocky was. Going to get this win.
That's
Tom,
right.
appreciate you, man. Yes, we are at $1,644
Awesome.
dollars of the 5,000 goal that we have. As a reminder, in the description of this show right now, you can click on that link and donate to Cardell and his family. We greatly appreciate it. If you can't, we totally understand it, but still help us by sharing the link. This is the point in the fundraising where it gets tough. As I said earlier in the show, you get off to a great start because we reach out to our friends, our family, our coworkers. They know who we are. They love us, so they're donating. Now you got to we got to grind it out a little bit. We got to get it. We've put it on our social media platforms. We're going to put up some flyers. Tom, I don't know, was that same food truck out there from last year? I don't know. Tom was great. Tom, by the way,
fantastic,
is our solo member here at Nickel City Mafia. We just opened up membership about a week ago, and he jumped right on it. Tom, behind the scenes, does a lot for us. Last year, he went through the Sabre cancer game, and he's like fighting for me because I am a cancer survivor myself. He was out in the streets handing out. He actually went to a Bills game. He actually sent them to that game, and he was handing out flyers to everybody because we have the flyers that have the QR code where you can just scan it with your phone and donate. So we got to get to doing more of that. But Tom, he's been a big instrumental part in everything we do here. He helps behind the scenes, and I know he's going to help us get to that 5,000 goal. He just will not let it. He won't let us fail, and we won't let us fail. So we need your help. Again, the link's in the description, Jake. So we're going to get this right. I mean, we have a big family event, this Christmas special that we're going to have on December 22nd. It's going to be, imagine the telethon, the old telethons you used to think, but we take it to another level. We're going to have performers. We won't have like a bunch of people taking phone calls because all you got to do now. We're much more modern. You just click a link and you donate. Santa might make a visit there. We might have a Santa shout out. We're going to have performers singing. We're going to have games. We're going to give away things, gift certificates, merchandise. By the way, Jake, why don't you share what the Punt Foundation gave us? The couple of things.
We got some awesome gifts here, guys. So I was showing Mike before the show. So I have here a signed game-worn glove by Dawson Knox with a certificate of authenticity. In addition, we have some signed pictures by Dawson Knox as well. So for those of you who do not know, he's a huge supporter, huge member, huge piece of the Punt Foundation, and he's done a lot of great work. And listen, this is a guy that we want back on the field, but also a guy that's super respected in the community and has done an awesome job. So we're going to be doing some giveaways, and appreciate Jonathan for bringing this to my house a couple days, actually yesterday, really. And we're going to be giving these away. So really excited for that.
Yeah, I did get an update from Jonathan on Cardell. So Cardell was the Pump Foundation was able to send him and his mom, I think his whole family, his sister as well. They were at the Bills game against the Jets. They had box seats, so it was nice and warm, nice and comfy. But he's fighting the battle now. I mean, that picture that you see, that was before chemo. He's lost his hair now. He's really going through the battle, and it's an aggressive cancer. So please help us out. Get to that link, donate. Let's help this family out. Let's do it the way Bills Mafia always does it. And any amount, no amount is too small. I say that all the time. If you can afford some Girl Scout cookies, get over there and donate to the cause. So Jake,
Amen.
I appreciate you. I know I've seen a lot of, donations coming in from your family, some coworkers. My coworkers, I had a fantastic week. They know now this is our second year doing this, and they are so happy to donate to these type of causes. So let's get it done. Let's see. Tom, that was
Sparky Tom. That's right. Yeah. There's another Tom too, who was fantastic with all that stuff, the giveaway stuff. And the donations and all that. So yeah.
Got it. Tom, that wasn't you who did the handing
Yeah, I
out
thought it
the
was you,
flyers?
Tom.
That was you.
Yeah, wait a minute now.
I know it was you.
Had
You
to be
sent them
you.
to the game. And he
But there is
actually,
another Tom too, right? Am I
there
wrong?
was another
There's another
Tom.
Tom.
Now, he
Yeah.
showed up a few weeks ago on one of our live streams. He popped in and said, "Are we doing another fundraiser?" And
Yeah.
we haven't seen him. He used to be on our Discord. So if you're out there, Tom, the other Tom, we're doing it again. And you were a big, you were big into the fundraiser last year. You actually helped us get that going. So hopefully you're out there and you see this
We appreciate you guys.
and help us out once again. But
Tom, happy Thanksgiving to you, man.
Yeah.
Like listen, everything you've done for us is awesome, and we really, really appreciate you, man. You're a member for our channel. You're a member for life, brother. So thank you so much. Seriously.
Okay. So the other Tom did the food trucks. Okay.
Okay.
All
Gotcha.
right. But you handed out the flyers at the Bills game.
Right.
I've dared Jake. I mean, take some flyers to the Eagles game. First of all, Jake, take some with you.
Talk about a peace offering,
to
right?
hand out to your family. Yep. And then hand some out.
Not a bad idea, actually. Yeah.
So,
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Let's
Why
go
not?
and let them know the story. I'm sure. I mean, I don't care what fan base you are. If it's family in need,
it's a way to come together.
And it's this situation here. Yes, help the cause. All right, man. That's kind of it, Jake. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I want to say thank you for everything you do. I'm so appreciative. I'm so appreciative of you and everyone out there in the channel and that supports us. And of course, our other content creators on Nickel City Mafia. We couldn't do it without you guys. So happy Thanksgiving. Can't wait to hear about everyone's Thanksgiving tomorrow, and send some pictures, Jake. We'll talk about those side dishes. Because I don't know. I'm going to my sister-in-law's and they're hosting and they're not letting us bring any food. That was their rule.
Wow.
So I don't know what I'm going to get. But let me ask you this. Okay, is there one side dish other than the salad? We've already said this. Like if someone brings a salad, you apologize to them, say, sorry, I'm not having any salad. But is there a side dish that someone brings that you just don't like?
Broccoli casserole. Get that out of here. Stop it.
Love it.
I don't like the I'm not big into vegetables as it is. Like I love mashed potatoes. That's probably the closest thing I'm getting. Like I said, I do mix it with the corn a little bit, and squash. I'm not a big squash guy either. My wife loves that stuff. I'm like, get that out of my face. Give me the meat and potatoes. That's all it is, baby. That's what Thanksgiving's about. Come on now.
I am right there with you. It's not the broccoli. And this is one that's more common. It's the green bean casserole.
Oh,
I can't do it.
Green bean casserole is the worst.
So I am,
agreed.
Dude, you can tell we grew up in Buffalo. We have the same meat and potatoes. So this is funny because my sister-in-law, not the one we're going to, the sister-in-law, Rachel's sister, she's moved away to Boise, so I don't see her that much. But when she was out here living out here in Cali, every year she'd bring her green bean casserole. And I would say to her, can you just change it up one year? She goes, you got to try it. You got to try it. I said, okay, I'll try it. Don't be mad if I don't like it. So I tried it and I was like, oh,
this ain't it.
I can't do it. And so every year I would say to her, are you bringing that green bean casserole again? Can we change it just a little bit one year? But her husband loves it, so she's going to keep making it. But man, I give her a hard time all the time. So green bean casserole is that dish for me.
The worst, man. I'm with you, Mike. I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it. Thanks again. Happy Thanksgiving, Tom. Appreciate
guys.
you. We'll talk to you in the Discord. By the way, you can always join our Discord. We talk Bills, we talk football, hockey, we talk all kinds of things. So let us know if you want to join the Discord. But anyhow, everyone, happy Thanksgiving. Jake, go Bills.
Go Bills.